Welcome to the first lecture of this lecture series of the spring 2025 semester in Florence. So welcome everybody. It's a privilege and an honor to be here tonight for many reasons. First of all, because I'm close to Professor Portia Prebys, who in a way or another, I would say, is the real motor of the world of study abroad since the beginning, from the beginning. And native of South Bend, Indiana, if I'm correct. And for many, many years, director of St. Mary's College in Rome, she has more or less created the world of study abroad, because since 1978, thanks to the efforts of AACUPI, which is the Association of American College and University Programs in Italy, we have reached a legal status which is unique in the world. And you know that this is the first element for having you here, guys, studying every possible kind of topic field. So, first of all, thank you very much, Portia, for what you have done for all of us. And the first applause goes here.
He's too kind.
No, I'm not too kind. That's the truth. And in 2024, to be short, because the biography is very, very long and full of information and fantastic things, she has been awarded of the Peter Wolitzer Advocacy Award from the Forum on Education Abroad, which is one of the most important recognition that someone in the world of study abroad can receive. And tonight, she will enlighten us about the value of study abroad. Professor Portia Prebys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Back on, Professor Ricciardelli. I'm very glad to be here. I'm so glad that there are people from Ohio who come to study abroad. I'm really a Hoosier. I was born and raised in South Bend, Indiana, of Indiana people and so forth. So, you know, I go way back, and I can remember when I first came to Italy in 1961, I fell madly in love with Italy. And I went home and graduated and then did some graduate work. And I've been here ever since, assisting American programs in bringing more people to Italy. So in any case, that's my job in life, unofficial, because I believe in it. In any case, good afternoon to all of you. And a warm welcome. I think most of you have just arrived. Is that true? From Ohio. Okay. And a warm welcome to those of you who are taking advantage of the life-changing opportunity to formally study abroad here this semester in Florence, the city that Dante called the Città Nobile, a noble place. So, besides welcome to Florence and to Italy, welcome to one of the best portals existing today, and to an inauguration for change and challenge in your lifetime. And I'm not exaggerating. Professors and administrators who have dedicated themselves to study abroad here often refer to this experience as educating in paradise. Paradise? Can the tangible remains of the more than 2,000-year history of this noble town be properly referred to as paradise? Well, everywhere there are ancient buildings stuck up against and often barely visible under the partial remains of other buildings, many of them medieval or Renaissance, 1,000 years old, or even 2,000 years younger. Many are medieval, many belong to the Renaissance. Old stone structures, you see them on every corner, no matter where you go. They vaguely resemble buildings that could have once been houses, maybe stores, and important public offices. So wherever you look, be it in Florence and even in Rome or any other Italian city, you always seem to have a jigsaw puzzle right in front of your eyes that draws your constant curiosity. It demands a reasonable explanation and then instant understanding. And you need to understand that none of it is fake. There's no shiny reproductions here, okay? No reproductions of the Mayflower boat that took our pilgrims to the United States. It's all real, okay? The palpable history all around you draws your attention and demands a closer look. You need and want an explanation as your days increase here. A serious, contemplated, and intellectual response, I think. Valid comparisons on every level are needed if you are to truly believe what your eyes and mind are telling you, to convert your first impressions to a veritable understanding of what is before you, peering out at you, and constantly present. The processes of comprehension here do not happen overnight. It takes time to view, absorb, accept, and then try to understand what it is that you have in front of you. This is Florence, and living here, even for a brief period, will alter who you are from the very first day of your presence here. Please believe me, it's true. Officially, you all know that Florence was founded, if we can use that term, in the year 63 before Christ, during a civil war in the area when the Romans too arrived in the valley of the Arno River. They gradually reclaimed the land, founding a fortified village called Florencia, which has flourished until this day. Florence, we all realize, like other Italian cities, can often be rather frustrating, perplexing, baffling, and even defeating, especially for those people who stay on for more than just a few days. The thought may come to mind, golly, they just don't do things the way they should here, the way I think they should do them, the way it all could be done better. Really? At this point, then, you really need to ask yourselves, how long have they been doing it their way? And with what results for mankind, the whole world? Again, these people have been doing it their way for literally thousands of years here. Superficial analysis is easy for newcomers to Italy, no matter what town you go to. The big step over this hurdle is a serious look at every challenge you will be facing, big or small, morning, noon, or night, academic and not. Maybe you won't realize it right away, but your entire self will slowly diversify on every level into looking at everything you see, experience, and approach in a totally different way. Your life will be changed. You will, without quite realizing it, experience conversion, transition, and slow innovation towards diversifying your comprehension. In short, you, the way you saw and thought before you came here, will note diversions from your usual former self, the way you slowly welcome looking at things and situations in a new manner. Always keep in mind that masterpieces are not created out of chaos. Consider what you see as improvements, however historic, on our earthly realm as you absorb this unique creativity Italians possess, and they are unique. Beginning to understand and absorb it all as much as possible facilitates comprehension more deeply, and then slowly react to it as you absorb it. For example, you pass by the Duomo of Florence, and if you go inside, you see Cimabue's crucifix there. For the very first time, it moves you out of the baggage of the Byzantine world and puts you literally in contact with the developing reality of the new Christian medieval world and the constant movement of mankind forward. It's sitting there. All you have to do is see it and absorb it, think a little bit about it. You will, in your odyssey, gradually experience a slow but continuous shift towards opening up your mind and heart to being more versatile and accepting of a grander kaleidoscopic way of approaching experiences and thinking about them from a broader, more innovative point of view. Italy offers you the opportunity of developing your potential in whatever field you wish. You don't have to all be art historians. And it offers you the opportunity of developing a new way of seeing the world and the life, your life, that lies before you. And you've got a long way to go. Sooner or later, before you return home, or even months after you do return home, you will realize that Florence has changed you. Just coming here has changed you. You are a different person with new ways of experiencing what you see and what goes on around you, with a deeper understanding, with total admiration and total appreciation for what surrounds you everywhere. It is impossible to lose your sense of humanity while you are on Italian soil. Believe me. During your stay, whatever the duration, without recognizing what is happening, you will come upon places that receive energy from the works of art you view there, all of which contain the same particular inspiration and energy of those very artists themselves. You will have the occasion and the need to choose your very own favorite site. Everyone does. In the end, Florence will settle in your mind and heart, and you will remember it fondly forever, believe me, as a unique, life-changing experience at this point in your lives. While here, you need to fully recognize that serious ambitions produce serious results. And what better place to do this than in Florence? Your generation, however, and I'm sure you've heard this before, has the responsibility of governing the technology flooding upon us today and not be governed by it. I'm sure you've all read some of the works of the famous American writer Henry James. In a book he wrote called Italian Hours in 1909, it was published, he said, and I'm quoting him, "The charm was, as always in Italy, in the tone and the air and the happy hazard of things, which made any positive pretension or claimed importance a comparatively trifling question. Henry James continues, we slid in the steep little place, more or less downhill. We stayed no long time and went to see nothing special. Yet we communicated to intensity. We lay at our ease in the bosom of the past. We practiced intimacy, in short, an intimacy so much greater than the mere accidental and ostensible, the difficulty for the right and grateful expression of which makes the old the familiar tax on the luxury of loving Italy, unquote. So enjoy your stay here in this true paradise. Take delight in every minute that you can. Relish the novelty that you find for how it can enrich you personally. Do be sure to visit as much of the Italian peninsula as possible, as it has so much to offer to all of us on every level of comprehension and appreciation. Every city, every small town is a world open to previously unimaginable discovery, whether you find it in Sicily, in Calabria, in the Veneto, in Piemonte, wherever you go. And for all of this, everyone here, every moment we choose to experience and contemplate it will be very, very special. So have a wonderful time in Italy, and thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
One more question.
No questions.
Any question?
Hello, thank you again for coming and speaking to us. It's great to hear your perspective and also learn from your years of experience working with students. I was just curious, having seen so many generations of American students pass through Italy, if you have any insights on the challenges but also the opportunities and how that American students face when they come over to Europe, and if those have changed at all throughout the years.
Well, things have changed, yes. In the beginning, in the 60s, there were fewer than a dozen programs. So it was a huge elite that was coming here. Right now, every year, the 150 programs bring 42,000 students. I personally have had students that met on my program in '70, got married, sent me 4 children of their own, and then those 4 children sent me their 4 children, okay? So I think that America hasn't changed too much. I think that where American students come from makes a big difference. If you're born in the middle of Oklahoma or North Dakota, it takes, if I'm not wrong, 3 days by car to get to either the Pacific or the Atlantic. I mean, if your family is well enough off to travel, well, fine. But as I said, I was born in South Bend, and my father loved going to Florida. So when I was a teenager, I saw salt water for the first time when I was 16. Of course, it was only 9 miles to Lake Michigan, where we went all the time, that we thought was an ocean. But in any case, the students are the same. And I think that we need to be a little bit more sophisticated about travel. Everybody knows computers, they know how to do all of this, but do they really experience life? Do they really experience other places? And the way other people think? It's pretty hard to do that on a computer, I think. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but you need to get out and see the world and spend less time in front of the screens. And I'm not anti-computers, but it's people that make the difference in the world. And Italy is the most wonderful place for people that exists that I know of, and I've traveled the world all over. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but students are basically the same. The more doors you open for them, the better lives they will have. And the more they will feel and understand their accomplishments and what differences their efforts have made. But they need to get out. So that's why study abroad is so important. I don't care where you go. Wonderful, Italy. But just experiencing another country with another population and another way of thinking opens a whole world of riches.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you again for this wonderful speech. I would like to highlight something that you mentioned I think is very important. When you said in Italy you will never lose your sense of humanity. I think it's a great, great compliment that you can actually make to Italy, Italian culture and the Italian people. And for this, grazie. Dal profondo del cuore, thank you very much. And I have, I guess, a silly question. Which have been some of the major difficulties that Portia, as a human being, had to face adjusting to the Italian culture in the 1960s? Because I believe even Italy is a very different world, you know, in the 1960s to today. So I was wondering what you had to go through, because I believe, again, our students are going through different kind of experiences. And if I may ask, Fabrizio is not going to hate me for this, what difficulties you had to face in assisting studying abroad programs establishing themselves in Italy, some of the major headaches that we gave you as Italians.
Well, let me tell you that once I decided to come to Italy after I graduated from the university, I was very fortunate enough to win 2 Fulbright fellowships, and of course I came to Italy. Well, in those days, for a few years, the Fulbright committee sent you where they wanted to send you. So when the letter came, it said, okay, you've won your Fulbright, you're going to go and teach at the University of Sassari. And you're going to teach Anglo-American language and literature. Sassari. And where was that? Well, Sassari happens to be a town in northern Sardinia. Okay? The Costa Smeralda, the Aga Khan, didn't exist in the 60s. And so I went. And I taught in a liceo, and I taught at the University of Sassari. Well, the students were absolutely astounded. They'd never seen anybody like me. Sardinians in the 1960s were about half the stature that they are today because they did not travel basic. They went on their honeymoon to the mainland, meaning the Italian peninsula. And so they would, which I thought was, I mean, I realize now it was very strange. I was the only foreigner there. I didn't speak Italian very well. I'd only taken a couple of semesters before I decided to come. So it was wonderful for me to go there because Italians speak very good Italian, Sardinians, and they don't speak a dialect. They have a Sardinian language that they speak otherwise. And so in order to survive, I had to learn Italian. I learned good Italian, so people say. In any case, it really hit me when people would stop on the street and look at me because I was twice their size, I mean height, and so forth. And children would come up and pull my ponytail because they'd never seen anybody as blonde as I was. So it really hits you. It hit me then. It's different now. You know, people travel abroad in Italy and from Sicily and from Sardinia, and I can't wait till they build that bridge to Sicily. It's going to make such a difference. It's not even funny. But in any case, it was a good experience for me because it made me realize, you know, I didn't have really any trouble adjusting. I was madly in love with Italy and Italians and Italian things, and I traveled all over. I can't say that I had any difficulty. When we, St. Mary's College and the University of Notre Dame, where I taught and graduated, and they decided they wanted to set up a program. And I said, okay, let's do it immediately. Well, okay, the problem was the language. Of course, all the language departments all over America want their students to study abroad, but they want them to study abroad in their way. That is, they have to study the language before they go and be fluent, which really isn't necessary. But in any case, it helps, especially if you're going for a short period of time. And in the 60s and the 70s, the programs were for a whole year. And it was a big deal to come abroad. It's only now that people can come for a semester, or that a professor brings a group of students for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks. Thank heavens the world has changed. It's better than nothing. A year would be fabulous. But you know, everybody's double majoring, triple majoring, quadruple majoring. This is crazy. But mom wants one major, dad wants another, grandpa, who's paying the bills, wants another major, and you want your own major. So everybody's doing somersaults to get everything to fit in. And this is the reality of it. But it's got to be done. There are programs now that require students to come to Italy in order to graduate, especially in architecture. So if people want to get, for example, an architecture degree from the University of Notre Dame and others, but that's the one I'm the most familiar with, they have to come and do their 4th year of studies here, and they have to stay the year. And the classes are on site, and they go and visit all of the ancient sites. So this is, you know, a good way to do it. But not everybody can afford that. And not everybody is willing to come abroad or can afford to come abroad. Or, you know, if you come from a big family, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 children, there's no way everybody can go abroad for a whole year, let's face it. So, you know, we're taking steps in the right directions. And we haven't had any trouble with the Italian authorities. We just had to convince them that we were serious in coming and that we want to stay. And so they need to pass laws allowing us to stay and allowing entities such as there are programs basically in Tuscany that were donated, big properties that were then turned into study programs. And the Italians had to accept the fact that Villa such and such was not left to the city of X, but it was left to an American institution, and that they had to face up to it. So I'm sure it was harder for them to swallow than for us to whoever it was, and there's many, many occasions to accept this beautiful gift. In the end, these places are doing a good job. However, the universities have put them in a situation whereas they have to produce the income to keep up these properties for the most part. Well, that's okay too. When you have big institutions in America with 40, 50, 60, 70,000 students, you know, X number of dollars going out the window to Tuscany to a gorgeous villa for 50 students doesn't quite satisfy the requirements of the Board of Trustees, but it's happening. And I think everybody's happy all the way around. I don't know of anybody that's unhappy. Everybody wants to come more, stay longer, do more courses, bring more students. And as far as I know, the Italians are happy with us as long as we respect their laws. And that's the most important thing. And Professor Ricciardelli and I spend much of our lives in trying to respect these laws and have done so. I've done so for the last 60 years. So, I think it's a wonderful experience. And Italy is the most sought after study abroad place. And actually, more students come here than to any other country in the world. So it means that Italy works, that Italians are welcoming, and that as long as we keep our noses clean, as we say, and we do a good job, and we kill ourselves to try to do a good job and respect everything Italian, well, I think we've got a good future. So I would like to see a requirement in the U.S. educational requirements that a student spend at least a semester abroad. I don't care where they go, but it would make understanding nations much better and much easier than what we're dealing with today and yesterday, and we'll probably be dealing with tomorrow. Going abroad makes a big difference in your life and in your future, and anybody who touches your future. You'll have a vision after being here that really is different and is very broad. And I think we can save the world if we can carry through all the way, but we better hurry up.
So thank you very much for this opportunity. I have a question.
Yes.
For everybody. Now, you say that you were the only foreigner in Sardinia.
In Sassari, yeah.
In Sassari, yes.
I don't think there were any other place.
Now, I'm an indigenous person here. I'm a Florentine 100%, basically. Other indigenous people here, there, okay, not many. We're having this shift in the city where there are no many Florentine actually living in the city center where we are. And so I think also, as we discussed in class, the fact that part of the university is now in the outskirts of the city, the University of Florence. So what advice would you give the students to outreach a little bit more to Florentine, to Italians, because we are in a city with lots of tourists from all over the world. And it's good also to meet other nationalities, of course, but to have a real, genuine experience. But also just to hear from the student what has been their perception, whether they feel in just a tourist city or they feel in a real Italian city. What are the difficulties meeting up with Florentines? Fiorentini, actually, sorry.
Do you want me to answer? This is the students to answer. They need to stay longer. The longer they stay, the better experience they will have. But I know it's hard. It's all expensive and so forth. So, but realize that, yes, there are 62 programs in Rome. There are 49 programs in Tuscany, correct me if I'm wrong. But there are programs in many other places. This Thursday, we're going to Bassano del Grappa, which is above Venice. And there's been a program there for a long time. None of us have ever been there. We're going to have a big meeting, bringing all the directors there, and hope that some of them might be interested in developing other programs in the area, so that Rome Rome is a bigger city than Florence, so I suppose that Florence is the city that suffers the most from the presence of foreign students, not just us, because many come to the University of Florence as well. But in any case, we have lots of different programs. So we have a program in Sorrento. We have a program in Cuma.
Actually, in 24 cities in Italy.
Yeah,
24
cities, yeah. So there's a program in Cuma at the caves of the Sibyl of Cuma, which says a lot. In any case.
Students will get.
So I think this is more of kind of a request, how some of our professors are this city. I'm very much a family person. I would love to get to know like your family, how your family grew up here. I don't know my voice. But I think that would be cool. And it's in the state of this university. I think like, yeah, getting to know Italians, like how during the day or especially at night, definitely more talkative. But I think safety is also a concern for us because we're so young and obviously younger. It might be easier for them to go out and talk to other like foreign times, but it's just a little bit of a difficulty for safety. So I think something at the university would be awesome to get to know and just talk one-on-one with Italians so that it's kind of just more at ease for us because it's hard enough being here and like getting to know just how to travel in this city. And I think that would kind of be something cool that we could experience and just in the safety of the university.
Thank you.
We can speak again about this subject. No, here we can also plan something like teaching assistant with some Italian students, that it will be an opportunity to meet young Italians. But we can think also something with families. Thank you for sharing. And thank you so much for your intense and so inspirational speech for all of us.
Thank you.
I have a very short question. To be more immersed in the Italian society, unfortunately, not all the programs abroad, they required to study the Italian language. Mm-hmm. So what's the role of the Italian language in an experience abroad today?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we can talk about the role of language in general. Americans are not carried to studying any foreign language, much less Italian or French or, probably most Americans study Spanish because of family ties and the closeness of Spanish-speaking countries to the United States. But it's a scandal that we don't teach more language right from the beginning. I mean, if a student in first grades learned a language, I don't care if it's Italian or French or Spanish or whatever, but we've got to open our minds up to other realities. Unfortunately, the world more and more today speaks English, and you can get by without counting to 10 in any foreign language, no matter where you go. And that's unfortunate because it doesn't push us, it doesn't challenge us to learn more languages, quite frankly. I mean, how many people do you know or do you have in your families who are fluent in 1 or 2 or 3 other languages? Do you know anybody? And it used to be that an educated person, when I was growing up, okay, that's ancient history, but still people spoke 2 or 3 languages. Maybe because they were immigrants and their parents or their grandparents had taught them a language. But, we used to know all kinds of people that spoke foreign languages. Now I don't know of many Americans who do speak a foreign language, who live completely in America. So.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. I was just gonna ask because, so we've been here for like almost a month now, and I love it. I knew I was gonna love it, but I love it so much more than I thought I would. Like I'm like surprised every day that it just gets more exciting. And the people here have been so incredibly kind, and I'm so grateful. And I'm just curious how you think that as American students, as American citizens, we can give back to Italy, to the culture, like while we're here, and how we can kind of say thank you for being so welcoming and warm to us.
Well, I think you have to be aggressive. And instead of going to Paris for the weekend, why don't you go to Sicily? Or why don't you go to Emilia-Romagna? Have you ever thought about going to Bologna or Ferrara or Genova, which is in Liguria? Or, you know, it's pretty hard to go to Sicily for the weekend. It's pretty far. And that's why there's no programs there either. It's too far because the students want to travel. But why don't you try to see more of Italy than trying to see all of Europe? You got a whole life in front of you, you know. You can go on your honeymoon to Paris or London. Try visiting some of the magnificent places that Italy has to offer. I mean, just put your finger on a map, and wherever you go, it's just fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Yeah, there's Rome and Florence, but there are many, many, many other places. So, you know, be brave. Ask your art history teacher where a famous painting is that's not in Rome and not in Florence and not in Venice, and go see it. Develop a love for a certain Italian painter, or a certain Italian architect, or dress designer. You know, there's all kinds of things going on in Italy all the time. And food. Think of how many restaurants you could open in America with Ligurian cuisine, Venetian cuisine, all kinds of things like that. Adopt an area and you know, try to become an expert in that particular area that you maybe landed on a beach on once upon a time. And who knows? It might be a big future for you. There's lots and lots to do and see here. So be brave. And you know, you can't see all of Europe in 3 months or 4 months. It can't be done. So take it easy, you know, and enjoy Italy. Enjoy Italy. I don't know.
Do we have any other question? I probably have the last one. I don't know if I would like to have your personal feedback on this following consideration. So AACUPI has inside of itself 150 programs with around 42,000 students per year. And 80% of these 42,000 are gathering between Florence and Rome. And we work together with publishing a book on A Tale of Two Cities. So we tried to give an answer to this question, why Florence and Rome? But I would like to have your personal point of view. Why Florence and Rome are the two more attractive places country?
Well, they're the most traditional of the places. Did you have family members who came abroad for study abroad? A lot of the students come here because their grandmother came, maybe, or their grandfather, or maybe they have roots here. And if they don't speak the language, it's pretty hard to go to Sicily and find the home of your great-great-great-great-grandparents. You know, it can be done. But traditionally, I feel that most of these programs were started years ago by some professor who had spent some time, studied for some reason in an area of Italy, fell madly in love and said, I've got to open this world to my students. I mean, if we go back to the first programs that were here, they were due to people who believed in study abroad and who thought it was a good experience for them to go to Bologna or to Arezzo or Siena or something like that. Unfortunately, America is a place where you have to sell your product, no matter what it is. And it's easier to sell Florence than it is to sell Lecce. It's easier to sell Rome than it is to sell, I don't know, Sorrento and Ferrara. Yeah, there used to be a program in Ferrara and they closed it. Yeah. It's you know, a problem. I mean, and also the universities have a big role because no student is going to come here and take courses if they're not getting credit for it. It's too expensive anymore. We're talking about small fortunes. Whereas people would come and maybe spend the summer learning a language, going to France to learn the language or Italy to learn the language. But now everybody wants credit for it so that, you know, it goes towards their degree, and rightly so. But the choices then are limited to the traditional places for study abroad.
Thank you very much, Portia Prebys, for this final consideration, for this lecture, and for being here with us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.